for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
What is going on, everybody? UFC Vegas 28. Yes, UFC is back this weekend. Sneaky decent card here, guys. I think it's a very deep card. There's some decent fights on the prelims. We got some good fights on the main card as well. Not in love with the main event. We'll go over that shortly here. But yeah, decent card overall for the return after a week off. I'll be going over the main card, breakdowns, free picks, and leans, like I usually do. If you want my best bets and personal plays on this card and every week, check out systemsportscapping.com for my subscription opportunities. Remember, I don't bet just UFC. I bet 5-6 different other sports. So you can definitely check that out on the website. And also, if you haven't, check out my Euro 2021 video. It's been getting some decent tracking. It is next weekend. So take a look at that if you enjoy soccer. Even if you don't, most of you do watch Euro Cup and World Cup. So take a look at that video. A bunch of free picks and just my thoughts and a breakdown on the tournament just to get you guys ready. Like I mentioned, weekend off last week. So somewhat nice. I got to watch the NHL playoffs. Got to watch the NBA playoffs and focus really on that. But yeah, let's go quickly. 2 weeks ago is the Rob Font, right? Rob Font, impressive win. We were on the Rob Font side. Hopefully you guys jumped on Rob Font. I did give it out here on the video. I definitely thought he was going to finish the fight. Didn't see it going all 5. Cody showed a better chin than I thought. But I knew he was going to dominate him with that jab. Better boxer, better movement. Jab was much better. And just Cody was too slow and a step behind. So very impressive with Font. I think he's going to get a title shot very soon. And just love watching the guy fight. It's very impressive win for Font. Passing Cater now in the standings, right? Remember, Cater was that guy coming out of New England Cartel, and then now Font kind of just jumped him there. So that's very interesting. Obviously, would love to see these two fight, but they never will, obviously, because they're good friends. But hey, if it was for the title one day, I don't think it will be, but if it was for the title, they would have no choice but to fight. So that's definitely interesting there. Let's go weekly update, guys. Weekly update, still 65%. 65% on best bets long term in the UFC. This is 17-18 month time frame, guys. 70% always the goal. Very difficult to have 70% long term. You know, I had 70% early on, 71% early on, but 65%, I'm very happy with that. One of the highest in the market. 2-0 best bet run. To get back up to 64. We did drop to 64 a couple months ago or a month ago, but I got back up to 65% here. Let's go over the other sports as well. NHL, guys, you know I had a great season in the NHL, 65% regular season. We had we went all the way up to 69% run, long-term run in the NHL. Now down to the playoffs, 65% run currently. I did have a good system in the regular season for the NHL. Playoffs are a little tougher with lines in the system. Still profitable in the NHL playoffs right now. Just no luck in the future market. Had no luck in the future market. I was on the Leafs/Vegas 2 series parlay. Leafs blew a 3-1 lead. Bad luck there. And Penguins I was on, and they blew it. So no luck in the future market, but still winning. Still winning on games. And, you know, at the end of the playoffs, I will be profitable in the NHL. NBA playoffs is picking up, trying to find spots, and it's been profitable. 3-0 on spreads. We did have a loser with Portland last night. That was tough. Tough loss. One of the best NBA games I've seen in a long time. So 3-1 on spreads. Couple losses on moneyline parlay, 2-team moneyline parlay with the Clippers at home, and then of course they win both on the road, right? That just has to happen. PGA, guys, we know PGA continues to profit, coming off a best bet winner last weekend. 67% best bet long-term run in the PGA, guys. 67%, passing my UFC, and it's about the same month. It's about a little less, 14 months, 15 months, but very good on the best bets there, and it's over 53 units in all prop bets. Also 67% matchup run as well. NBA low volume until the playoffs are done. Here's a message from my friend Meredith before we get into our breakdowns.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, guys, don't let Meredith down. Just hit that subscribe button. Very easy. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Free picks every week. Free picks every week. I'll be working with a few promo girls. I worked with Meredith in the past, actually. She's a sports broadcaster. She does sideline reporting as well. And she'll be getting into the betting industry as well. I reached out to her. She's going to be doing some promos and stuff. Maybe NFL season. She'll throw in a pick or two for you guys. So you may see her some more, but you may not. I'll probably be reaching out to her again shortly. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's get right into it. Remember, shop around for the best price. And have access to more than one book. I mentioned it to you guys. I mentioned it to my subscribers all the time. I have about 5 or 6 different books. So shop around for the best number. Main event, guys. Main event. I don't love it, but it is the main event. Rosenstrike in another main event. Seems like he just was against Gone. Remember that, guys? Minus 125 versus Sakai. Plus 105. You know, it's an interesting main event here in the heavyweight division. You know how I feel about mid-tier heavyweight fights, and this does fall under that category. Rosenstrike had a lot of promise, right? And sure, he still could be a factor in this division and possibly get a title shot one day. However, he needs to put at least, I say, 3 big wins together, and it has to start here. He has to beat guys like Sakai. You know, when Rosenstrike faces tougher competition, it seems like he freezes, and he isn't at their level. He lost 2 out of his last 3 against monsters, right? Francis Ngannou, obviously, we know, is running KO. That was pretty crazy. And then Gone. He couldn't pull the trigger in against Gone. He was looking for a big shot. He couldn't land it. Gone was patient. Wasn't a pretty fight, which I'm kind of scared is going to happen here. But Gone did enough, and Rosenstrike just had no volume in that fight. It was very disappointing to watch, and Gone picked him apart for 5 rounds. Now, I'm kind of surprised they gave him another main event, because after that performance, how would you want to give him another main event here? But that may motivate him. Right? Saying, oh, the UFC believes in me. Let me show up this time against a weaker opponent as well, right? If you look at his big wins in the heavyweight department, it's Overeem, Dos Santos, and Orlovsky. Guys at the end of their careers, right? All his big wins are over those 3 guys. Now, Sakai hasn't fought the level of competition Rosenstrike has. And, you know, Sakai's coming off that loss to Overeem, where Rosenstrike did beat him. With that late KO, if you remember. Now, Overeem was probably winning that fight. I think, you know, Rosenstrike did get lucky with that KO, so just keep that in mind. Sakai got dominated on the ground in that fight, which you don't think that's going to happen here with Rosenstrike, and it's going to be on the feet for the most part, in my opinion. He does have that more kickboxing style, right? So this is why, this is one reason why I won't be betting on this fight, and I'm staying away. Just because I think their styles clash. I think it's going to be mainly on the feet. The price is okay. Whoever you're on is okay. Like even laying, you know, if I do lean to Rosenstrike, which I do, laying minus 120, minus 125 is not a big deal. So the price is not an issue here. I do agree with the line. I think the line is well done here. A couple things on Sakai that I'll go over. Now, he did look terrible with his cardio in that Overeem fight. That was his first 5-round fight. He did not look good. Okay, he gassed in the 3rd round. 4th round, it should have been over, and then Overeem just came out and knocked him out quickly in the 5th. So that's something to keep in mind. And Rosenstrike's cardio is very good. Very good. He's been in couple 5-round fights now, and he's able to go because of the way he fights. It's very slow. He doesn't try to do too much. He just looks for that big shot. So, yes, I would say this fight's not going to go the distance, but I wouldn't, you know, put my house on it. Just because the style of their fight, it's very slow. They look for bigger shots, and it could go all 5. I would say it wouldn't. and I would think it doesn't get to the judges' scorecard just because Sakai, his cardio issues. But if you do like Sakai, I think it will get to the judges, and he could throw more. He could throw more damage and throw more volume and beat Rosenstrike like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's not a fight I'll be involved in. I do lean Rosenstrike if you ask me for a play, and I don't think it goes all 5 rounds and to the judges. Let's go to the co-main, and it's another heavyweight fight, guys. Heavyweights are taking over this card. It's been a while since that has happened. I don't remember last time it was co-main and main for 2 mid-tier heavyweight fighters. You know how I feel about the mid-tier heavyweight fighters, guys. Harris hasn't been the same since his daughter passed. And, I don't blame the guy. Tragic story. I wish all the best to him and his family once again. I did a piece on it when it did happen. It's just heartbreaking, man. Now, he did fight some top guys in Overeem and Volkov, right? However, they were both KOs, and he just didn't look like he was in good shape. He didn't look like his head was in there, and it ended in the second round, both fights. His volume in those fights were terrible, and he just didn't look like he wanted to be in there. In comes Tabora, who is on the rise, guys, in this division with 4 wins in a row. All fairly solid names. Hardy, Rothwell, Grishin, and Spivak. He is very good on the ground, guys. I don't know if it's going to get there. I think he may try to get this to the ground, but he can strike as well. I do think he's fairly well-rounded, not great at anything. I would say maybe he's great on the ground. I haven't seen a ton of it on the ground, but he's good on the ground, guys. He can wrestle. He does have a submission game as well. I just watched a media day with Harris. Seems very focused. He did bring up last year and how he couldn't focus. However, time has passed, and he seems he's like in good spirits. He did bring up that those 2 fights and those 2 losses, his daughter did have a big factor in that. And it's been more time now. So he could be coming out. His job could be on the line. This could be his 3rd fight, 3rd loss in a row, right? And, he's going to go obviously fighting in there for his daughter. It's not something I love to lay minus 170 on. I do think Tabora has the more path to victory. I do think he should win this fight. Am I willing to jump, and do I love the minus 170 on Tabora? No. Is it going to make maybe my 2-fight parlay? It could. It could. Just because I don't see too many paths for Harris to win this fight. I do think it's a tougher fight, though. I think it goes a couple rounds. I don't see it. I don't know if it'll go to the judges' scorecard, but over the 1.5 is a good play if you can get a decent price. And I would be looking at Tabora here, but Harris may come in there a different man, so just be careful with that. And I don't suggest to do a straight up bet on Tabora. Throw him in a parlay, 2-fight parlay, which I suggest, but I haven't got to it yet. But it's a fight that definitely is intriguing, and I just definitely want to see how Harris comes out after those 2 tough losses. Next fight here, the Georgian is back. Dolis minus 150 versus Stropoli. Stropoli we have at plus 125. Pretty good value there, guys. Plus 125. Dolis is coming off a tough loss to Giles in his last outing, which he was, if I recall, he was pretty heavily favored in that. I do think he may be a bit overhyped, guys. Georgian fighter, good striker, more of a power striker, though, not tons of volume. And Giles just outworked him in all aspects in that fight. He was able to land more significant strikes, Giles, more volume. I know Dolis was wrestling more in that one, but the judges gave him a unanimous decision to Giles. That fight makes me a bit hesitant here. However, it is a winnable fight for the Georgian, right? Stolopoli's coming off back-to-back losses versus Tim Means, who was always tough out, and Solikov, who hits pretty hard. Stolopar, he's a tough guy. He's hard to put away, as both of those losses did go to decision. One interesting thing here, he's going up in weight, guys. He's going up in weight. He's usually at 175, but this is at 185. That's something to keep in mind. Check out the weigh-ins for this fight. Check out the weigh-ins for this fight. Look at the difference. Look at the face-offs. See how much the difference is, because, if the striking's not going as planned, Dolis could just maybe bring this to the ground. Okay, Dolis could bring this to the ground and just outwork him and just smother him. Okay, Stropoli. The only thing is, and why I do think there's some value at plus 125, He's going to throw more volume, and he wins decision-type fights. He doesn't have knockout power, but he can win a decision. He is training with Charles Oliveira and that team over there, the True Boxing, or I forget the actual name of it. It's slipping my mind. But Oliveira and his team out there, that's something to keep in mind as well. He's still fairly young as well. I think my favorite play here is over 2.5 rounds. And I do think this could go to the judges. Just because the limited volume with Dolis. And Stropoli, like I said, doesn't have knockout power. And if Dolis does decide to grapple and wrestle, it's just going to slow down the fight. So that's something to look at here. That's probably my favorite play. I don't love the side. I lean the Georgian. I lean him, but it's probably not going to make my card. The over 2.5 may. And for this fight to go to the decision is something I'm going to be looking at as well. But interesting to see how the Georgian bounces back. And remember, Stolpe's 2 in a row. That's 2 in a row. 2 fights he lost in a row. So you know how I feel about guys losing 2 in a row, maybe fighting for their jobs. Next fight here, Baez minus 130, 125. Shop around on that versus Ponzinibbio plus 110. You know, excited for this fight. This is probably the most exciting fight on the main card for me personally. Miguel Baez is 10-0, 4-0 in the UFC. One of those wins was on the Contender Series. I really like what I see from the guy so far. I was on him versus Soto in that last fight. He got, I think that was the best bet of mine. And he got a stoppage, a submission in round 2. And before that, he got a knockout versus a vet in Matt Brown. This will be his toughest test yet against a vet, Ponzinibbio, right? It'll really show how good he really is and see if he is ready for that next step and maybe a top 10 guy. You know, he's coming off a tough loss to Jing Liang, where he has that long layoff, that 3-year layoff. Before that, he was on a tear. Right? He was on a tear, beating guys like Magny, Perry, Nelson, to name a few. You know, is he a new fighter? Did that long layoff really, you know, cause issues? Is he the same guy before? Just a ton of questions with him. That's the only issue. You know, I think he is a great, I think this is going to be a great fight. Very interesting to see how Miguel, and see if he does come out with that urgency, looking out for that knockout, just like Ji Liang did. He just had his hands down Ponzinibbio and he got caught. So Baez has shown he does have that knockout ability. So it's always tough. It's one of those lines that could be kind of trappy. Why? Because it's a younger fighter at a lower price at minus 130 versus a vet who's been in there with a lot of top guys who could bounce back and just win, right? You see that time and time again where, you know, the younger guy, the upcoming guy ends up getting in there with a vet and he ends up losing. A lot of money's been coming on Ponzinibbio. I've been watching the lines. It opened up by around 150. It's down to 130, 125. So definitely check that out. That's something to keep in mind before you go all on Baez. But I think he's going to make my card as of right now. Obviously, I watch the weigh-ins. After the weigh-ins, I do send all my plays out to the subscribers. But I do like it. I just don't think he's the same guy after a 3-year long layoff. That's the only thing. It's just he has a ton of fights, guys. He has around 30 fights compared to Baez's 10. Something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind before you go all in. You know, and Ponzinibbio shows up as the old 2018 guy and puts this young guy to work. Very possible. But I do like Baez to win this fight just because he has shown more to me as of late compared to Ponzinibbio. We got another heavy, these heavy strikes in this one, guys. Torokovic minus 155 versus Rodriguez plus 130. You know, Rodriguez is making his debut in the UFC, a 9-3 record with a loss on the Dana White Contender Series. He's shown to have some power from what I've seen on tape. I obviously had to watch some tape on this guy. I didn't know too much about him. Back-to-back KOs in LFA, both by punches. He also does have high-level BJJ. I just never seen in any of his fights. He's a world champion in BJJ. I watched tape. I did not see any of it. It was just all striking. Now, is it smart to do that against a good striker in Dusko? I don't think so, but we'll see what happens here. You know, obviously Dusko's no stranger to KOs and throwing heavy. Dusko's coming off that tough loss in the first round to Soriano, which I was a bit surprised. It looks like Dusko took took him lightly, which is always tough to say. I hate saying someone took someone lightly, but it looked like that's what happened. And his hands were down, and he trying to slip punches, and I don't know what he was doing in there. But Soriano was quicker, and he was able to land the better strikes. I don't see this fight going to the judges, guys. Hard to see this fight going to the judges. Under 2.5 looks like a good play as well. The only thing is, I do think Dusko does bounce back. I haven't seen enough from Rodriguez, especially at the UFC level. And I do think Dusko gets in there a little more serious, throws those heavy leg kicks, hurts Rodriguez. The only thing is I don't like the 155 price. I do not like this 155 price. So if you don't think the fight's going to go 3, you look at the KO prop. That's one thing to look at here. 2-fight parlay is an option. I do think Dusko gets it done. I just don't love the price. I haven't seen enough from Rodriguez. If Rodriguez does decide to go to his ground game and his black belt jiu-jitsu, it could be an issue. So, it's not a lock. It hasn't made my subscriber card as of yet. But, Turekovic, I just don't like the price here. Coming off, it's not like he beat anybody. He didn't beat anyone really in the UFC. That's also something to keep in mind. You got to look at that as well. He was coming in as a big prospect, but when he went out against a guy like Soriano, who's not a highly touted prospect or a guy that's even ranked or anything like that. So, it's something to be worried about. And when I see a line 155, it's tough to get to. But I do like the bounce back theory, and I do like Rodriguez making his UFC debut. So that's why I lean to Dusko here. Last fight on the card, guys. Tom Breeze is back, and he's laying a big price. Minus 240 versus Arroyo, plus 200. This is opening up the main card. I always like to see what Breeze brings in there. He's a great fighter, has a lot of tools, but is his mind in the fight? That's always the question. The price is going to buy me out of this bet. I don't think I can get to it. I'm not going to take a chance on a 2-fight parlay either. Arroyo has back-to-back losses to Duran Win and Munoz, who we just seen that big win over Souza. Breeze got out-wrestled and subbed against Mari Makhmedov, and he lost 2 out of his last 3 fights. So paying minus 240 is out of the question for me. Do I think he wins the fight? Sure. He should win this fight. Again, Arroyo off back-to-back losses. Don't love betting against guys with back-to-back losses. Do I think Arroyo is a UFC fighter? Probably not. I don't think he's at that level. I do think Tom Breeze is. Question is his mind right? Is he going to go in there and fight smart? I do think he's a better boxer, the cleaner boxer. Some say his ground game's good. Some say it's not. Arroyo's probably path to victory is maybe to submit him. He does have 4 subs. But, I think Breeze is good enough. I think he's good enough in the grappling department to avoid anything. And I think his boxing is just better. So, yes, I do like Tom Breeze to win it. Will I be betting at minus 240? No. Should you bet at minus 240? No. It's not a good price. And Arroyo could pull off the upset here. I'm not ruling it out, especially when you lose 2 in a row. But, when you see him lose to guys like Duran Win, sure, Duran Win just went to try to wrestle, right? He just went in there and tried to wrestle, and that's not Arroyo's game. You can see Arroyo was out striking him, no problem. Arroyo's striking is not bad. It's not terrible. Okay, it's pretty good, actually. It's just, I think Tom Breeze is more crisp, and he is the better striker. So, Tom Breeze it is. Will I be betting it? No. You're asking me for a play. It is Breeze. It could go the distance. I say it doesn't, so maybe look at the under 2.5. That will do it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the card. Glad to have UFC back. Look out for all my videos. Check out that Euro Cup video. UFC going to be back-to-back, and NFL's not too far away. Subscribe to the channel, like, share with friends. Always helps me out. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.